Hey there, Stampers, and welcome to a quick tutorial. I've done one of these in the past, but I thought I'd show it again since it's been a while. When I use an aquapainter, I have a couple different ones that I use. I do what I've called a dry aquapainter, meaning I don't put any water in the barrel. So I have this little medicine cup full of water, and I kind of tap my brush in the water and it absorbs it and makes it moist, and then I just sort of remove the excess with my fingertips, bringing the brush to a point. A lot of the work that I do, I like to do fine work. So I have this little palette. This was something I got from scrapbook paint a long time ago, and it's just been really great. But you can use one of these cases. It wipes right off. I use blocks. I use a lot of different things in a pinch if I can't find it, because I'm sort of messy. So I just want to show you quickly. This is a card that I'm doing. Oops, stamps fell. That I'm doing for Step It Up Saturday tomorrow. And so I just want to show how I did it. I did the same image on all three cards, and I painted it the same way. So this is what we'll be working towards. So I think I've zoomed in pretty well. Let me see if I can get a little closer. I think that's it. Okay. And I have a fine brush that I'm using. I like a really thin, fine brush to use. And I start by just getting it moistened and work the water back into it. And you can kind of tell I've been doing it probably 5 or 6 years, so I just know now. Anyway, so you're going to start with laying your color down on your palette. And then I'm going to start with the wagon. I'm just going to roll my brush in the ink, picking up a good amount, and just start putting it down. One of the reasons I like this rather than filling the barrel is I control the moisture very, very easily this way. Sometimes, especially when starting out, it is difficult to get a handle on filling the barrel with water, and then sometimes you make a mess. And the other key, I think, I do use the same technique on Very Vanilla and Whisper White cardstock, but really to get this super saturated look, the watercolor paper is the best. It really allows you to get this great intense color. So I will do this for the entire wagon, and you can see as I go along the ink is less vibrant and lighter, which is fine because you can go back in and lay on, and I always layer the color. So I'll let this dry, and then I'll go to another area. I do try to cover up these marks that you can see, and they will, as they dry, become less noticeable. I also try to start in the areas where it will be darkest, so coming from the back corners, where skin will provide a shadow, that sort of thing. And you can see it really, I'm making it look easy. There is a little learning curve to it, and that is learning how much water to have on your brush. So there isn't a line on this stamp, but you can see that I'm sort of creating one with how I'm laying the ink down. And I will go back, because I do want this area, for me, is going to be darker. The sun's going to be coming from kind of over this direction, not this direction. So I'll make it a little darker, and then come back and meet in the middle, and there'll be a natural looking line there like there would be on a wagon normally. And you can go back in and accentuate that a little bit more. So that's basically the wagons, the first step. So I'm going to clean out my brush, and let's do his shirt, the boy's shirt. So for smaller areas, you're going to want less water in your brush. The wagon was a bigger area, so I had more, so I'm pulling out a little extra so it's not pooling and making a big mess. I'll get the green on there. And then again, I like to start where it would be darkest, and this is going on pretty light, which tells me I probably have more water than I wanted in there. So I will go over and do his entire shirt and then let it dry a few minutes and then come back and I will add another layer. Or if you like this kind of washed out green, that works too. But for me, I want a more intense color. So I'm going to clean out and I'm going to do her dress, and I'm going to really try to pull out that water and load up my brush with a big layer of color. Yeah, that's good. I'm using Baja, so it's not going to be a bright, vibrant blue. It's just going to be this this color. That's exactly the intensity I wanted it. And I will come back in to add shadows as well. This little tip makes it easier to come back in and get in some of this fine detail. And we're going to do, I won't do the whole thing. I think you're kind of picking up what I'm laying down. I did miss this part of the wagon, so I'm going to go back in, and I can see on my palette that I have too much water. See how it's pooling? Usually if you have the right amount, it doesn't pool like that. It just pulls like so. It's probably going to be a little more wet than I want, so I have to be careful so it doesn't bleed into the area that I don't want to be red. And then what I can do with the excess is go back over those areas that I want more intense red. So here, and shadow of her leg. That. This meat point will pull from the shadow, kind of like that. Shadow of her leg here. And you can go in circles, you can dot, you can pull little lines. There would be a shadow from her hand here. And for him over here. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but you can see, you can let it dry and go back and add more layers. Then for the background, I'm going to show you this, maybe just using the green. I have it pretty wet. I'm going to shake out just a little bit, and I'm going to pick up the green, and then I'm going to start sort of washing where the background would, where the ground and the horizon line would be, and just sort of pulling that. You can see it's much more water in the brush, and you can decide where you want the most, intensity of color, and then you can just do a wash all the way down. Like this. And I use Stays on Black for most of these. And then you can go back in, and I like to add just a touch of brown, maybe like right here where the wheels meet. And while I like to do this while the paper's still wet, so it sort of blends in with the green nicely. And maybe right here where the grass. I feel like Bob Ross in my happy little clouds. And anyway, I think you can kind of get the picture. It does take a little practice, but this was $5 or $6 as opposed to Copic, and I already had the Stampin' Up! Markers. So I can get that intensity of color and shading with a little practice. And I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.